Hey everybody, this is Bo Sanders and I want to talk about preaching for the 21st century today. We live in a rapidly changing world, as everybody pretty much can see, and one of the major changes that's happening is the expectations of what happens on the weekend or when the church gathers. People know that we've moved from a Gutenberg world, and the churches that we attend are set up to prosper in a Gutenberg world. With if you think about the encyclopedia, where all information is being gathered into one place that has all of the answers. And if you go, it's an attractional model. If you go attracted to that and you go, it provides all of the answers. It has all of the resources. But as Len Sweet has pointed out, we've moved from a Gutenberg world to a Google world, and it's a very different set of expectations. So that people participate and they want to collaborate, they want to contribute in some meaningful way, to not be spectators of a spectacle that the church has prepared and scripted and it's a stage show, that they don't want to be passive participants in spectating what's happening on the stage. Now, for those who have been raised or groomed or conditioned to look for that sort of a thing, there is still an appreciation for good preaching of that style. But increasingly, for those who were not raised that way or did not connect with it or haven't been conditioned to appreciate it, that is not what they're looking for. Another major change Doug Pagitt talks about is moving from Church 1.0 to Church 2.0. And if you think about Web 1.0, that's like the electronic yellow pages, where if you have a church website, all of the content is provided by the church, and the most agency you have is clicking around the site to go to different pages, but all of the content is being provided by the staff or by the leadership. Web 2.0 is like eBay or Facebook or Twitter. It's where the site, the domain, it hosts a space, but doesn't provide all of the content. So eBay is hosting a place, but you sell your products or your items. Facebook, you contribute the comments or the pictures, on and on. So Web 2.0 is where a space is provided, but the content isn't all provided. So Church 2.0 is when a space is hosted, a gathering, and it is not all of the content is provided. It hosts the space, but it waits to see what emerges from those who come and contribute. It's a collaborative, a little bit more of a democratic space, if you will. As I have transitioned, and I've been at 3 different churches, one in upstate New York, one in Olympia, Washington, and now here in Los Angeles. I have tried and I've kind of migrated through 3 manifestations or levels of interactive preaching. Preaching 2.0, I'm going to call it. And so the first one is, when I was in Saratoga, I would stop. Say we had 3 points in a sermon. I would stop between each point and say, any questions? Now, it was still everyone sitting in rows facing one direction. I still had the microphone and everyone was facing me. I was still in charge of all of the content. But level 1, I'll call this, is where you stop and say, any questions? And then people can, and they always did, people would ask questions, and it was kind of a spontaneous thing. And sometimes I'd have to say, that's a great question, let's come back to that at the end. So that's level 1. Level 2 is to stop from time to time and say, turn to 2 other people and compare notes. How does this sit with you? What are you hearing? And so when I was in Olympia, Washington, we actually took the pews out of the sanctuary and brought in these little cafe tables and chairs, and people had coffee and they would invite their friends, and we would stop from time to time during the sermon and say, talk to 2 other people. Now that's a transition from Church 1.0 to 2.0. But it's definitely headed towards 2.0, where we were hosting a space but not providing all the content, but largely it was still stage-oriented. The third level that I've transitioned to is here at the Loft, LA, is truly a dialogue or conversational style, which is that people aren't sitting in rows, they're not facing the same direction. We meet in the round, and in the center, there's always at least 2 people trading ideas. It is dialogical, if you will, or conversational, and then we will often turn to those who have gathered and say, how's this sit with you? What do you think? and we only script about 40 to 60% of the gathering, and then we see what emerges from people's collaboration or contribution. So in my mind, if standard preaching in an auditorium with people sitting in straight rows facing the same direction isn't connecting with your community, not only a transition from church 1.0 to 2.0 might be a conversation you want to have, but for me, the starting place, because it's such a central, the centrality for those of us in Christian ministry is often the Word, is to make that sermon time dialogical or conversational, to always have a partner so you're getting different perspectives, and to make it more of a collaborative space where you're hosting, but not providing all of the content. And it's an exciting development, and I think it really meets people where they're at so that they feel like they have contributed something. I'd love to hear your thoughts.